Every human being sets goals every single day. Getting out of bed is a goal. Brushing your teeth is a goal. Getting your breakfast is a goal, right? Every single thing that we do to some extent is a goal. So we're goal-directed organisms. And I think that's a really important thing to remember about being a human being.
Right.
But we do that kind of unconsciously and inadvertently. So goal setters who are deliberately setting goals and are doing it more on purpose, yeah, they tend to be more high achieving and in fact also tend to have higher well-being too.
Interesting. Are they, this is probably not true, but are they usually women? Because I feel like women really love goals and to-do lists, and there's a lot of us that consider ourselves perfectionists, which is probably something we're working on. So does that have any, like, does DNA run into this at all?
I don't know. I think men are also goal setters. I think it shows up differently, the kinds of goals that we set. And also, I think the standard of what goal achievement looks like can also be different. I think that men, I mean, this is a gross generalization and I am not pulling from any specific research, so I'll give you that caveat. But
Yeah.
I think in general, my observations are that men are far more willing to just turn in like a B- effort or a B effort and be like, oh, let's just get it done. Right. And I think, women are more likely to, are more apt to want to turn in the A+ work.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I always felt too, like in school, the guys would like not take any notes and then they'd get the A on the test, and I would take all the notes and I'd be like, how did you like not pay attention and you still got the A on the test where, I wrote literally every word down. But that's another topic for another day. I want to also just kind of further, because this is goal setting for a perfectionist. So is it more challenging for perfectionists to set goals versus if you're not a perfectionist? I mean, why are we like kind of calling them out in this goal setting?
Oh, well, definitely yes, because here's the thing. The only thing that perfectionists do perfectly is put things off. So perfectionists, and I do think that there's a gender difference with regard to this, is perfectionists are terrified of being judged externally and also judged by them, internally, right? Like judging themselves. So I think that there's specific things that you have to overcome to be willing to get the ball over the finish line for people who have this tendency to judge themselves extremely harshly, right? To have such a high standard of, it has to be this good to be able to, like, it doesn't count if it isn't that good, then it makes it hard. What it doesn't make, perfectionists are great starters and they're not great finishers.
Interesting. I'm surprised by that because I would think like part of the perfectionism is that they have to finish.
Well, if you are, if it has to be perfect in order to do so, it's like it can be put off indefinitely, right? Like, if you're on a diet and you have a day where you just don't stick to it, right? Things blow up. It's very easy to be like, well, it wasn't perfect. Then
right. Then
the
whole day
as well give up. Right. And I think what happens is there's sort of almost like you're using like we call it buffering, but or emotional Novocaine, like something that takes the edge off the bad feeling. Like you feel so disappointed and you're like, you didn't do it properly or correctly. And so then you're like, well, I'll then set another goal.
Right.
Set a new goal. I'm going to set a new shiny new goal that I'm going to do perfectly this time.
Right. Someone was talking to me the other day and they were saying that she thinks she's addicted to launching things. Like she's always launching something or, whenever you talk to her, she's always working on something new. And she's like, I think I'm just addicted to this, like setting, essentially what you just said is like setting a new goal or like launching a new thing, which I don't know if there's like a real addiction to that, but I understand what she was saying is like, there's this real feeling of like, always got to have something new or be doing something else.
Right. I mean, like I think about it, it's when you were in school and you have the beginning of the semester and like the notebooks smell delightful and you like go to Staples and it's so exciting and everything's so neat and organized. You're like, this is the semester I'm going to nail it, right? Everything's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks into the semester, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm behind on my reading and I haven't gotten this thing done and whatever, right? And it's easy to let it all kind of, you're like, oh, it's not working. And I think it's really important to distinguish when someone's being a perfectionist is not a badge you should be burnishing. Like this is not, it's not a wonderful thing. There's a very big difference between being a perfectionist and being someone who cares about excellence and has high standards for themselves. They're different.
Yeah. How can you see that in real life? I guess like, let's put this into the office setting, the perfectionist versus the person who has, high quality bar. Like how do they operate differently?
So the person who is a perfectionist doesn't want to get like, they'll put things off and avoid things because it's not like done. They can't see their way to doing it the way they want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like they'll hem and haw over an email or a memo so they can get the perfect writing, and they're going to take forever on doing it.
Right.
As opposed to the person is like, okay, I have a certain quality, I have a high standard, and they're going to give themselves an allotted amount of time, and they're going to just get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they believe in like they have a high standard of quality, but they also know like when to cut it off and just send it.
Well, and I think that's really important. That's part of the challenge, I think, of working with perfectionists too, is at some point we got to hit send. At some point we have to move on to the next project. So I like that you were able to give us that example, because I think people can definitely visualize that at work, either within themselves or maybe with people they work with. And I love that you call yourself a recovering perfectionist, which is,
oh my gosh,
which is
yes.
great. It's like you can, if you identify as some of this stuff, you can fix it. Or I don't want to say fix it. I feel like that's like a bad word,
I feel like my whole experience and this, like I was as when I like get into that perfectionist mentality, I feel like I often like I win the battle, but I lose the war.
Mm-hmm.
like like I'll write an amazing paragraph, but not finish the chapter.
Yeah.
Like that's what a perfectionist does.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like, because it has to be, they want everything to be incredibly like impeccable or perfect, and they'll obsess. I mean, it like creates kind of this like obsessive mentality about something. And so you're not really moving forward. You can often just get stuck.
Mm-hmm. But you've been able to overcome that and move past it.
Oh, I'm getting better at it. Yeah.
Right. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when, the whole notion of just do something badly and just get it done, it was like, my brain could not compute that. It's like, what? What do you mean?
Is one of the ways that you combat that by, pushing yourself to make a mistake? Or, for someone who's, maybe thinking like, yeah, I think I definitely am more of a perfectionist. Like what's one thing they could do today to kind of help them move toward the, recovering perfectionist vibe of stuff, I guess?
Well, I mean, I think it just takes a lot of practice. You have to catch yourself in, I mean, I think that you really have to kind of like eavesdrop on your brain and what's going on in your head, because normally when you're getting into that kind of grinding perfectionist thing, you can feel the obsessiveness of it. It's like a dog with a bone, like you can't stop. So you can kind of, when you're eavesdropping in your brain, like what's going on here? Is this actually something? Am I improving? Am I like, am I trying to improve the last like 2%? Or is this like actually critical to it being readable, or am I trying to like maximize the last 2% of it?